Second weekend of the NCAA tournament is officially here, and one Big Ten team has already punched their ticket to the Elite Eight. Illinois taking down Iowa State last night. And Trent, first I want to know, did you stay up and did you celebrate it all after your Illini got the big win?
Of course I stayed up. I did not celebrate. I got some sleep so I could get up here this morning. But a big win for this Illini program. It's been well documented. 19 years since they got to a Sweet 16. Now make another step to the Elite Eight, knocking on the door of a Final Four. It's big for this program.
It's big for the program, and they did it in exciting fashion, nail-biting fashion even, maybe to the dismay of some Illini fans. Game-high 29 points, his 7th consecutive 20-point game. He made 4 3-pointers, was off the floor for a 6-minute stretch in the second half, which definitely played a factor in that Iowa State starting to close the gap, but still Terrence Shannon Jr. has been outstanding in the postseason. Any initial thoughts, first of all, on his performance?
Well, yeah, TSJ once again was a National Player of the Year good in postseason play. 3 games in the Big Ten tournament, 3 games in the NCAA tournament, over 31 points a game. He's getting to the free throw line over 11 times per game. So the pressure he's putting on the rim, he's knocking down the three, was really good. I thought initially how Iowa State, I look at how they guarded Marcus Damask, and they brought a lot of heat to him. They forced him baseline, they trapped him. What that did is it opened up the weak side, and who's over there on the weak side is Terrence Shannon. So you have an All-American who's now able to play off closeouts, got a couple threes to go early. Illinois got off to a lead, looking really good. And then to close it out, I'd say, too, for TSJ, made some key drives to the bucket, finishing through contact, had a big steal as well. So he did so many things once again, played like an All-American, made all the plays, got them going early, and made the plays late to get the win for the Illini.
Another big thing for this Illini offense was taking care of the basketball. It's something that's plagued them in some of their losses this season. For example, going back to the Penn State game where they crumbled at the end, they struggled with forced turnovers with the way that Penn State trapped the ball. It seemed like there was a big improvement in terms of the decision-making and composure from the Illini in this game against the best defense in the country. It needs to be pointed out, and Iowa State averages forcing about 18 turnovers per game. Illinois turned it over 12 times in this one, and they had a really good stretch there in the first half where they were really taking care of the basketball. What did you see from the Illini in their decision-making in this match?
Well, yeah, Iowa State, their physicality, their aggressiveness was so impressive defensively, but I thought the spacing for Illinois was really good. And yes, Iowa State had 11 steals, but Illinois did a pretty good job of keeping them out of getting buckets off those steals. And conversely, Illinois had 3 steals, Terrence Shannon with 2 of them, Coleman Hawkins with another one, that they converted for breakaway dunks. But for the most part, when Illinois got trapped, typically is Marcus Damask. He had a lot of attention. It could be on the wing. It could be as high as half court off ball screens. He did a great job of keeping his pivot foot, staying composed, battling through it, finding maybe it's Coleman Hawkins, someone at the top of the key. And Damask had 5 assists, but he probably had 5 or 6 more hockey assists where he made that pass that then led to the assist. So really, though, despite Damask only having 7 points, not shooting the ball well, still the offense flowed through him. He made a lot of great plays that allowed guys like Terrence Shannon, guys like Luke Goody hit a couple big threes, Coleman Hawkins hit some big threes, but it's still in the half court. It started with Damask, made good decisions for the most part against a great defense.
So can we start the push right now to make the hockey assists a thing and start tallying those in basketball? Because Marcus Damask would have had several, as you pointed out. He was just doing such a good job facilitating.
Yeah, he was great. You know, so much of their offense in the half court, really Damask is the guy. Shannon is in the open court. Shannon is in isolation basketball, which he did his damage, but Damask only 7 points again, but 6 rebounds, 5 assists, made a lot of key plays. And I also look at that stretch in the second half. So, Kylan, Illinois got off to a big lead, 11-2 the first couple minutes into the game. Iowa State really battled back quickly in the second half. It cut it to 4, then cut it to 2 multiple times. I thought a critical play. We haven't talked much about Illinois' defense, but they were pretty stout throughout.
Yep.
Held Iowa State to under 40% field goals. But Iowa State was down by 2, driving to the basket. Illinois, I think it was Dane Danger, blocks the lob threat. Then they kick it out, Damask and 1 in transition. The following possession, Terrence Shannon was on the bench for a number of minutes with 4 fouls. He comes in, I think the first time he touched the ball, hits a 3. Then Coleman Hawkins hits a 3. And despite Iowa State continuing to score, those 3 3-point plays in a row really gave Illinois the cushion to come away with that win.
To your point about key defensive plays, too, that steal by Terrence Shannon Jr. with about 30 seconds left is able to convert on the other end. That was a huge momentum shift as Iowa State was really closing the gap there in the final minute, and him being able to get out in those passing lanes is such a huge threat for this Illini defense. And that was a big question going into the postseason. Illinois, #1 offense in the country, but can they string together enough stops to win games? What did you learn about Illinois' defense from this matchup?
Well, I thought they were really tough. They did a great job on Iowa State's, especially their guards in the first half. Really limited them. Iowa State only 26 points that first half. Besides Curtis Jones, he had 26 on the night. Illinois did a great job throughout. Had a little bit of issue off ball screens with Gilbert and Lipsey getting to the basket, but besides that, did a great job of keeping Iowa State out of the paint, contesting threes. And if you look at Illinois' team, they have the personnel to be very good defensively. I thought for 40 minutes, they were pretty darn solid on that end. You know, tomorrow night against UConn, they're going to need to be great on both sides of the ball. Good effort last night, big win, battled through against a tough Iowa State team, but they're going to have to step it up a notch to contend with and beat a UConn team as well.
Yeah, let's lead right into that upcoming matchup for Illinois. They're looking to make the Final Four for the first time since 2005. Once again, that's when Illinois made that run to the national title game, falling just short against UNC. They were outstanding in that Elite Eight matchup against Arizona, battling back. This time around, though, it looks like Illinois is running into a buzzsaw with UConn. They just beat San Diego State by 30, 9 straight March Madness wins for UConn, the longest streak in the country. I mean, what do you do? What's the game plan against this Huskies team?
Well, they're very good. Okay, they actually leapfrog now. They're #1 offense in the country. Illinois is the #2 offense. They have a top 10 defense as well. So across the board, this Huskies team is very, very good. When you look at their lineup, their 3 guards are all 6'4", 6'5", 6'6". Newton and Spencer, both experienced fifth-year guys. Now Stephen Castle is a freshman coming in. Their big guy, though, Donovan Clingan, I think he's going to be a tough one for Illinois. 7'2", really protects the rim, great length, a quick, not quite the offensive player that Zach Edey is, but defensively a bit quicker, maybe longer, a little bit more athletic. So he is really tough on that end of the floor. And just the offense they run, they share the ball well, they shoot it well, everybody's a threat. I was so impressed. I've been so impressed watching this UConn team. Now I'll say, they are not unbeatable. Okay, I think we've seen better teams lose in the NCAA tournament than them. They haven't lost all this calendar year except for one game against Creighton where they shot the lights out. But this is a beatable team. I think Illinois has the pieces, the uniqueness and their talent, their explosiveness that they could definitely give them a run and get a win here tomorrow night.
And Illinois right now, they're getting contributions up and down the lineup. That's been another big key. Luke Goody had a couple of big baskets off the bench, for example. But one thing we haven't addressed from last night's matchup is the free throw issue, because moving forward against a very talented UConn team, Illinois is going to have to play a complete game. You can't shoot 51% from the charity stripe. And at this time of the year, so many games come down to free throws. How did they clean that up? They're usually a good free throw shooting team, which makes it just such an anomaly.
They are. And Terrence Shannon, he was 5 for 10 last night. He's a guy that shoots at a really high rate.
More than 80%.
You would expect him to get to the free throw line more. So that's not too much of a concern for me, but they do need to get there. You think, can Shannon maybe put some pressure on the rim, get Clingan into foul trouble? That would change how the Huskies play defense, but they're going to have to convert if they get there. They're going to have to knock down threes in this matchup. They're going to need everybody to play at their top level. But I do think the personnel that Illinois has, when you think of Damask and even going up against these good guards on UConn, I think he has an advantage with his low post game. Sure, you can have Clingan lurking there, but that's where I look at a guy like Luke Goody. He played 28 minutes last night. I would expect him to maybe play more than a Ty Rodgers. So can you force Clingan out of the paint? If he's got to guard Coleman Hawkins, now he's got to be out of the paint, or even Dane Danger will occupy him because he's such a threat offensively. If Illinois, again, playing through Damask in the post, he'll be a problem for UConn's guards, no matter how good they are. And then if they can get out into transition, if Terrence Shannon, as good as those guys are, I think he's still the best player on the court. So when you have those type of guys you can play through, then if you have other guys, maybe it's Goody, Quincy Gary, some guys knocking down some threes, Illinois has more than a puncher's chance in this game. Now, on the other end of the floor, too. Okay, yes, I think Illinois can score against them. They're going to have to get stops. They haven't been great at that this year. They've been better in the NCAA tournament. Were good last night. UConn's a different beast on the offensive end. So all 5 are going to have to be locked in, disciplined, force tough shots, clean up the rebounds, and then see if they can get some certain transition buckets.
You'd think the Illinois booty ball offense would work a little bit, as you pointed out. Marcus Domass, so good when he gets into those mismatch situations, so good at posting up that he would be able to bully maybe some of those smaller UConn guards and possibly, be able to come up with some points that way. But that's going to be a very tough matchup. Illinois moving on to the Elite Eight, but they do face the top overall seed in UConn coming up on Saturday. One down, one to go, though, for the Big Ten. Could another Big Ten team move on to the Elite Eight? Next, Trent explains how Purdue can take down Gonzaga for the second time this season, but it's going to be tough.